After months of CBA discussions and weeks of free agency excitement, the Major League Baseball season is finally set to begin. In honor of the season opener, which is April 7th and thankfully is actually a thing, let's talk some way too early predictions. Hello and welcome to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Kelly Warner, joined by Chris Lemo and JC Colavita. Today we are going to talk about the National League. Guys, let's start with the NL East. We have the Braves, who just won the World Series, and then we have the Phillies and Mets, who both just made some off-season acquisitions. The Phillies maybe more than others. Who do you think's taking that division?
This is going to be the most interesting division. I mean, you look at the teams that spent, like the New York Mets, nearly $290 million in payroll. Now, of course, this is going to look a little bit different because we have that new playoff format with 6 teams and, of course, 3 wildcard teams and 2 byes for the division winners. I've got the Mets in first because of all the moves that they made with Mark Canha, with Starling Marte, and of course, Max Scherzer. That 1-2 punch of Scherzer and DeGrom is going to be absolutely filthy, as you know. And I just don't know if anybody else is going to be able to compete with that. But, you know, the Phillies made huge moves, of course. Castellanos and Schwarber, they're going to be breaking out the home run hat a lot here in South Philly. I think, okay, this is a bold prediction because I feel like I've said it before. This is finally the year that Red October is back at the bank. I think the Phillies do get a wild card spot, along with, of course, the Braves with that elite pitching staff in Atlanta.
You know, I'm with you there, Chris. I think the Mets are going to be at the top of the division. Their rotation is too good. Their lineup is too good. And you got to remember, Robbie Cano is coming back. We don't know what he's going to do. He's been off for a year because of that PED suspension. I think that he could be an absolute stud for the Mets. I have the Phillies in second place getting that wild card spot. I love the addition of Schwarber and Nick Castellanos. Nick Castellanos doesn't have a college degree, just hits baseballs. That's what we want to see. I need to see Aaron Nola. That's the key to the Phillies' success. You know Zach Wheeler is going to be legendary this season. He was amazing last year. He's going to be great this year. Aaron Nola had a little bit of a down year. Got to have him come back. And if the bullpen can keep it moving, they're a force to be reckoned with. Now the Braves, I have them in third place. I can see 1, 2, and 3 be interchanged multiple times. I don't know where they're going to end up, but I see the Braves in third place. I think the loss of Freddie Freeman is too big. Yes, he's a great player. Matt Olson can jump right into that spot, but Freddie Freeman had the intangible of being a huge leader, a huge voice in that clubhouse. And obviously the bottom 2 teams, the Marlins, what can you say? Derek Jeter was fired for a reason, but I do love Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm, one of the most electric players in the entire MLB. In the Nationals, it's Juan Soto, and then there's everybody else.
You know, you said Castellanos, all he does is hit balls, and I think that's just going to be the whole Phillies team since they have 0 defense. So I'm really interested to see how that works. But we know they're going to hit balls. They're going to get enough runs to win games, so hopefully enough to maybe make the playoffs for the first time in more than a decade. Let's move over to the Central. You know, teams like the Brewers and the Cardinals, they may not have went all in on the payroll like maybe the Mets or the Phillies, but they are clearly aiming to win it all. So who do you guys think takes that division?
I think, honestly, the Brewers take it by default. They have 2 Cy Young candidates in Corbin Burnes and Brandon Woodruff. Corbin Burnes does not walk guys. That is the first thing you learn in Little League. Throw strikes, good things are going to happen. He had a huge streak heading in the beginning of last year with no walks, and I think he's going to continue that forward, but the lineup is going to need to be there. You know the bullpen's going to be there. Josh Hader's going to spearhead that, but Tristan Yelich is the only big name in that lineup, and you're going to have to get major production from him, and he had a down year last year, so we'll see what happens. And the Cardinals, we just found out Albert Pujols retiring just along with Yadier Molina. They could both get into the Hall of Fame together. But I want to see Harrison Bader go off this year. He is one of my favorite players in baseball, and I want to see him and Tommy Edman lead this team into that wild card spot. In Chicago, Cubs sold off pretty much their entire team. Only 2 players that are even of note, Wilson Contreras and Kyle Hendricks. I don't really expect much from the Cubbies this year. I think Chi-Town is going to be more towards the south side. I think the White Sox are going to be a lot better than the Cubs. Reds, what can you say? They lose your top 2 players. At least you have Joe Burrow. And the Pirates, Brian Hayes is going to be fun to watch, but, you know, at least you have a good stadium.
Yeah, I do think, I mean, if you look at my standings, I have the same thing with the Brewers on top. It's going to be that pitching staff, right? Woodruff, Burnes, Peralta, as we already know. That lineup is really iffy, as you kind of said. Yelich needs to have a bounce back year. He's had 2 down years in a row. This is the most important for him in his career, I think. And then you look at the rest of the standings. The Cardinals, I have them out of a wild card spot. Outside of Wainwright, I don't know that they have enough pitching. I mean, you look at their number one guy right now is hurt. So I just don't think that they have enough elite pitching there. They do have the best lineup, but the pitching's not good enough. The rest of the division, kind of a dumpster fire. The Cubs don't really know what they want to be, in or out, it seems. The Reds clearly are trying to tank, and the Pirates are entering what feels like year 20 of that rebuild, even though it's not.
Yeah, you have to actually attempt to build to be a rebuild. Let's wrap it up with the West. The Dodgers maybe have the best lineup of all time after free agency. Who do you think takes that division?
Yeah, the Dodgers. I mean, it's unfair. I mean, you add Freddie Freeman to that lineup just when you think that they get human with Corey Seager leaving to go to Texas. They get another big bat. They still have a lot of their pitching staff intact. I mean, they're going to be a really good team. I mean, and then you look at the rest of the division. The Diamondbacks aren't good. The Rockies added Chris Bryant, but still aren't good. The Giants lost Buster Posey. I really don't think they're going to be able to repeat what they did last year. I mean, I have them closer to 83, 84 wins instead of last year's 107 that they had. The Padres, to me, are a team that they have great pitching. Again, the lineup. They're almost like the Brewers in that the lineup is kind of a question mark. I think that they get the wild card spot just because their pitching staff is that good. But overall, the Dodgers should win this division by 10 games or more.
Obviously, the Dodgers, this is just unfair. They're the scariest team in the league. Guys like Betts, Bellinger, Turner, Chris Taylor, Will Smith, crazy lineup. But the thing with Bellinger is, I just saw this stat a little while ago. He said 21 at-bats in spring training so far, 14 strikeouts. And he said he was the MVP a few years ago, down year last year. He has to build it back up. Can he get back to his form? Padres could be an enigma. They have a great pitching staff. Musgrove, Darvish, Blake Snell, even Chris Paddock if he can stay healthy. You have your reliable bats, Will Myers, Eric Hosmer. They're gonna give you production, but I don't know if they're gonna. It's not gonna be enough to overpower the Dodgers. The Giants, they caught lightning in a bottle. That's not gonna happen. 107 games. You're not going to win that many games probably ever again in that franchise's history. Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte is the only thing you got going for you. And the Rockies, why did you sign Chris Bryant? Why? What is he going to do for you? I get he doesn't have to ring chase, but he's just kind of get that bag. And Raimel Tapia, though, I like him as a dark horse all-star. Raimel Tapia could, do something for the Rockies, but he's not going to propel them anywhere near a playoff spot.
Yeah, these are too early predictions, so we really don't know what to expect, but I feel like saying the Dodgers are going to win this division is probably the safest bet you could make in the whole league. But one thing I know for sure is that the three of us are all so excited for baseball to begin and to see what happens around the league. Tune in next week to hear some American League predictions and keep watching Penn State Sports Night for the rest of the MLB season. For Chris Lemo and JC Colavita, I'm Kelly Warner. Have a great night.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night. We hope you liked that segment.
And we're sure there's other Penn State Sports Night segments that you are going to love as well. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content.
And check us out on social media for updates and behind the scenes clips and pics. Follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action.
For all of us here at the Belisari Media Center, we are
Penn State Sports Night.